There were bare feet. Food was very little, and the warders were brutal. And I'm helping to collect these affidavits and reading it. So when I went to Robben Island, I did not think I would survive.
So you and Nelson Mandela both found your way here to Robben Island. You by yourself,
Yeah.
he with a Ravonia group, with a group of people. Tell us about your interaction with Nelson Mandela here on Robben Island. What was he like?
Oh, you know, I haven't got enough adjectives to describe, good adjectives to describe Mr. Mandela, really. Mr. Mandela is really a wonderful person. I say that, in my humble opinion, Mr. Mandela is one of the greatest persons to walk the face of the earth in human history. Mr. Mandela was the first person to befriend me. When I came here initially, I was isolated from everybody else. And then after 5 days, 6 days, perhaps a week, I was allowed to join the people and work here in the yard. And the first day I worked in the yard, so we knocked off and we went to the common toilet behind this wall. And as I was walking, this big man stood in front of me, barred my progress. So I looked up, and I recognized Mr. Mandela because I recognized him from outside. And I said to him, "Good afternoon, Mr. Mandela." And he said, the name is Nelson. He shook hands, he says, "Welcome." That's the first time I met him. And I learned to know him. And Mr. Mandela and the ANC made my life in jail tolerable. They helped me to survive. Possibly I could have survived without them, but they made it easier for me. I met some of the most wonderful people the world could ever have produced. And people with integrity, magnanimity, compassion, tolerance, beautiful people, really beautiful people. And I say about Mr. Mandela, you know, he doesn't like to be referred to as a saint. And I don't refer to him in the religious sense as a saint. But I say, you know, when a sainthood is bestowed on an individual, that person has been dead for 300, 400 years. The world has bestowed sainthood on Mr. Mandela within his lifetime. Within his lifetime. Mr. Mandela is a great, great man. Yeah, on Wednesday is his birthday. The whole world celebrates his birthday. But nevertheless, here back in prison, Mr. Mandela and I, we grew close, you know, we were quite close. On one day, I think it was a Thursday in the week, he and I would spend the day together at the quarry. And he would send me his pearls of wisdom, etc., you know. And, but one day I was sick in my cell. We were not allowed to go to the prison hospital because I don't know why, but we were isolated completely. For example, when our food came from the kitchen, it was placed in that corridor and these doors were closed, placed in that corridor. And then those prisoners who brought the food were sent out. And then the corridor was open and then we were allowed to, gates open, we were allowed to go fetch our food. No one must see us, we must see no one else. So then I was sick in my cell. Mr. Mandela came back from the quarry and he said to ask someone, he says, "Where's Danny?" He calls me Danny. "Where's Danny?" "I haven't seen Danny today." So the person says, "Danny is lying in his cell on the floor, he's sick." So Mr. Mandela, now Mr. Mandela's cell is here and the bathroom is here and my cell is on top. Mr. Mandela walks all the way up to me in my cell. He sits on the floor next to me and he comforts me. Then he comes back to his cell. He's locked up in his cell, I'm locked up in mine. All of us are locked up. Next morning we all open. Mr. Mandela's got his bucket. And instead of going directly to the bathroom, he walks up the corridor carrying his bucket, comes into my cell, puts his bucket on the floor, sits down next to me, and again he comforts me. He gets up, picks up his bucket on his one arm, picks up my bucket on his other arm, and he walks down the corridor, goes to the common toilet, cleans, empties my bucket, cleans the contents of my bucket, and brings it back to me. Comes all the way up. Now to put the story into context, Mr. Mandela, an international figure, a leader of the most powerful organization fighting the apartheid government. the most important prisoner in South Africa. He could have instructed any of his prisoners, fellow prisoners, ANC, to look after me. He never did. He could have looked the other way. He never did. It was so easy for him to look the other way. Who was I? I was a non-entity. I was alone here in jail representing my organization. I had no political muscle. I had no education. I had no influence. Yet, this great man, and he is a great man, he came down to my level in more ways than one and helped me. There was no benefit for Mr. Mandela to assist me.